right. If I could ask everyone to find their seats, we're going to go ahead and get started. Fellow colleagues, friends, community members, elected officials, and anyone else joining us via Zoom, my name is Gerald Kuhn, and I am the Assistant Director of Human Rights and Relations for the City of Omaha. I would like to welcome you all to the annual Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. And at this time, I want to thank our Mayor, Gene Stothert, for hosting and sponsoring this event, Dr. Franklin Thompson, Catherine Baker Coleman, and the rest of the Human Rights and Relations Department, the Mayor's Office, the Douglas County Human Resources Department, for all of your hours that you have put in to make this celebration a success. We have a lot to cover in this hour, so I'm going to get out of your way, but I'll just like to say that 2020 has taken it out of me. I don't know about you guys, but it just has taken it out of me, and I'm glad that we are here in 2021. But I'm going to leave you with this quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because it was my compass before 2020, and it will forever be one of my guiding principles that I live by. Dr. King said, "May I stress the need for courageous, intelligent, and dedicated leadership. Leaders of sound integrity, leaders not in love with publicity, but in love with justice. Leaders not in love with money, but in love with humanity. Leaders who can subject their particular egos and to the greatness of the cause." And that was a quote just so powerful to me, and I just want that to resonate with the leaders who are in the room and on Zoom. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome Todd Fitzer, City Engineer, Assistant Director of Public Works Department, to lead us in the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Awesome job, Mr. Fitzer. Now, I would like you all to listen to Dr. Franklin Thompson, AKA the Golden Throat, Director of Omaha Human Rights and Relations Department, as he gives his rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Again, if you could stand, please. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day be done. Let us march on till victory is won. At this particular time, we're asking, by the way, uh, because I am a public official, I have to do my job, and you don't have to listen to me, but I have to do my job, and my job is try to space out and COVID, doing the 6 feet as much as possible. Now I've told you, I've said it. You can decide on your own whether you're going to listen to me, but we do want to be COVID friendly in this public space. I also want to let the audience know, the in-person audience, that we have a large virtual audience looking in. Normally we would have about 150 people, about that much here, but we're going by the protocol from the Douglas County Health Department, and so those of you who are honorees, unfortunately, you won't have the ambiance of a full house, but we do have people online watching, and we thank those people who are online for tuning in. At this particular time, I'd like to bring up one of Omaha's finest. He is a former policeman, but also finest in terms of a community servant. He's our Douglas County treasurer, a friend, and a mentor to many, many people in Omaha. Let's give a welcome round of applause for Mr. John Ewing.
Good afternoon, and thank you all. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. I read that quote because that truly, in my opinion, describes our 3 honorees today. They are amazing people who've served this community and continue to serve this community for many years. I know all 3 of them well, and I just want to say congratulations to you for your continued service to the citizens of this great community. Also, I would like to certainly thank Dr. Thompson. He is a great friend of mine, and Mrs. Karen Bush, who is a friend of mine, the Human Resources Director for Douglas County, for continuing this program for so many years. This day is important to our community, and I hope people understand the importance of the life of Dr. King and the challenge he left us to do great things and be of service to those who need us. And that's what these people have done. I was honored in 2007 to receive this award, and it is still one of the ones that I hold the dearest in my heart, because I want people to say, no matter what, that John Ewing loved the Omaha community, he loved the Omaha people, and he was a servant. And so I'm honored today to even be part of this program. So thank you all for having me. Go out not only today, but every day, and live a life of inclusivity, love, peace, and joy so that we can have the best community possible by including everyone in the day to day work of this great community. God bless you.
Thank you, John. The next person you will hear is one of our new employees, but he's not new to Omaha. He spent the prior 4 or 5 years before coming to the city with Heartland Workforce Development. And he's also, I believe, an Omaha Central graduate. Is that correct? And he egos in the house, right? And one of the things that I like about him is that he considers himself a girl daddy. And so I don't know whether that means that the girls run the house or, or whatever, but they probably are in your pockets a lot, right? And but one of the things that I like about Mr. Station is that he's willing, always willing to accept a new challenge. You give him a challenge and he's never going to say no or I don't know, or he'll say, I'll find out, I'll go find the research. He's hit the ground running full steam. He's met with all the various departments in the city, and he's met with community boards, and he's a great networker, a great communicator, and a person who really holds high the principles of human rights and relations. And I look forward to working with him on many, many projects. Let's give a round of applause to the diversity inclusion person from the mayor's office, Mr. Keith Station.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Gerald, everyone isn't 6'9", my friend, with the microphone. So you might be wondering how I got this gig. Dr. Thompson initially went to the most articulate, well-spoken person and asked them to keynote this occasion, and that person told him no. Then Gerald went to the most handsome and best-dressed person and asked them to keynote, and that person said no. And then someone from the county asked the person with the best reputation in the community to keynote this occasion, and that person said no. So then Dr. Thompson came to me and said, Keith, would you keynote this occasion? And so I didn't want to say no for the 4th time. And so here I am. But as it turns out, I was the most cost-effective option for the program, nonetheless. Test. Okay. Nonetheless, I'm honored and humbly accepted the offer to visit with you to honor our awardees and share some perspective on how we can still, even in 2021, make a difference, love well, and live kindly, and embrace kindness. I'd like to thank Dr. Thompson. The city is fortunate to have a brilliant historian and leader running the Human Rights and Relations Department within our ranks. Dr. Thompson is a legend in his own right, and I appreciate that. I'd like to join Gerald by thanking the mayor as well for the tremendous opportunity for me to champion diversity and inclusion in our community and partner with Douglas County. My job is to help advise the mayor on issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's been an honor to do that, and also become immersed in creative ways to advance the conversation in our community within the city and outward. And I'm honored to lead those efforts. I'd also like to thank my colleagues at the city and county for all the work you do. Thank you for seeing it as important enough to be here today, for those who are joining us virtually and who are in the legislative chambers today, and those who see it important to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Lastly, I'd like to thank those who are watching virtually to support our honorees who are so deservingly or who are well deserved to be honored today. So you probably heard countless speeches about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and hopefully by Dr. Martin Luther King. So what else can be said? With the little time I have this afternoon, I think I have 8 or 10 minutes. I'd like to draw a connection between the legacy of Dr. King and some of the accomplishments of our awardees today. My objective is to point out how this distinguished awardee group has inspired their families and the community much in the way that Dr. King has inspired us all. Dr. King was known as the drum major for justice. He was a reverend. He was the intersection of all these things that were great in our society. Dr. King is someone who we think of as gone too soon. Dr. King is someone who we think of as a man of faith. Dr. King is someone we see as the epitome of altruism. Altruism being the unselfish concern for the welfare of others, because he was willing to give his life for his cause. Like our honorees, Dr. King's work was interconnected throughout his personal life. So, Leah, regardless of what you think, what you do during your day job is connected to what you do outside of work hours. Lieutenant Thomas, for obvious reasons, what you do outside of your day job is connected to everything. Mr. Haynes, for a long time, you have served Omaha Public Schools and served families and served students. And you certainly had to live a life that was under the microscope of students and families in the community. To the awardees, again, take a second to think in that you're being honored today in the name of a man who's world-renowned, a worldwide historical figure who arguably is one of the most famous in the history of the world. Like, just take a second to think about that. That's huge, and that's an honor. And Treasurer Ewing is a past awardee. Martin Luther King is one of the most famous people in the history of this world. And today, you all are honored for living a life and offering service to the community in a way that sets you apart in the way that we remember and respect Dr. King. So I want to talk about, without stealing the thunder of the presentation, I want to talk about the awardees on a couple of things that I know. And I also want to share a quote from Dr. King that reminds me of our awardees. Leah Baez. So the Dr. King quote that reminds me of the work that you've done says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We're caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. So I had a chance to visit with Leah, and she talked about Stella, 9-year-old Stella sitting right over there, two to her right. She used the word, Stella, she used the word firecracker to describe you. And she made it clear to me that you were her pride and joy. And so you ought to be proud of your mom today. I know you are, but your mommy loves you a lot and really does what she does for you and for her community and for her ancestors. Leah likes to inspire youth to be able to see beyond or to be able to go beyond what they can see. And isn't that special? Because that's what we need more of that. We need our youth in our community to be able to aspire to go higher and to achieve things that sometimes they're not fortunate enough to see in their homes. Leah recognized that, and this is how humble she was. She recognized that being associated with the previous awardees of this ceremony was one of the greatest honors that she had, and I thought that was remarkable. So congratulations, Leah. Sheree Thomas. The Dr. King quote that reminds me of you is, and that is so appropriate for you, is that true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Let me stop for a second and say that today is January 15th. And so that means that 113 years ago, an organization called Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was founded. So 113 years of service. Later, here you are, and some time ago, a young initiate named Sheree joined the ranks. So happy Founders Day. If you hear someone say Happy Founders Day to Lieutenant Thomas, now you know why. So as a law enforcement officer, Sheree has shown up willing to lay her life on the line to serve and protect as a guardian, if you will, for the citizens of Omaha, for her family, for her children, for her friends, for her sorority sisters. Sheree is a business owner, a community member, a mother, a sister, and I like to describe Sheree as just a cool customer. She's a cool cat, easy to talk to, friendly, nice, welcoming, endearing smile, and I appreciate you for that, Sheree, and I consider you a friend, and proud of you, and congratulations. Mr. Haynes, here's your quote from Dr. King. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. And that was appropriate because that speech was given by Dr. King in front of a group of students in Philadelphia in 1967. Raise your hand, and those of you joining us virtually, raise your hand if you have a street named after you. Nobody? Mr. Haynes. Well, Mr. Haynes, he does. And that is because he has a distinguished career, and he has a legacy, and is a great man and a legend in this community in his own right. And so when you get a street named after you, then maybe you'll be an automatic awardee here. I want to thank Mr. Haynes personally for your support. I used to work for the YMCA. I used to be the executive director of the Butler Gas YMCA, which is just to the east of Omaha North High School. And Mr. Haynes was on my board. I asked him to rejoin the board and to help, and he agreed to do so without hesitation. And he's a busy guy. And your engagement lent credibility to the Y. It helped us garner support, helped us raise dollars. It helped make a strong case for reinvestment in the YMCA, and I appreciate that, Mr. Haynes. I don't know if I've told you that, how much that was helpful for me and for that YMCA. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. My mother is a 1970 Tech High graduate, and I was looking at her yearbook maybe a couple years ago, and I saw Gene Haynes in her yearbook, and it's class of 1970, and I said, Mom, I said, Mr. Haynes was a teacher at Tech when you were there? And she said, yeah. Mr. Haynes, oh, of course. And so I hope, Mom, if you got connected and you're watching, Mr. Haynes is here, and he is still making an impact from Tech to all the places he's been, to North High School, and to the legislative chambers in the city of Omaha and Douglas County. Mr. Haynes has used his influence for good. He's one of those people that, Gerald, in that quote you shared earlier, he's one of those people who is making a difference and using his influence for good. And I consider that a superpower. When you have a special gift, you have a talent, or you have means, and you choose to use it for good, that's a superpower. When you don't throw your weight around just to benefit yourself or your immediate circle, when you use it for kids and for the community, that's a superpower. So let's not wait for the next Martin Luther King. Let's act now and turn a moment into a movement. Janet Stovall is a UPS executive, and she's a inclusion expert. And she says, turn a moment into a movement. And didn't our COVID Warriors awardees do just that? Holly Barstow and Patricia Longancher turned a moment of dire straits into a movement, showing others that sometimes there's no magic wand or secret sauce. You just roll up your sleeves and get to work. And these ladies were recognized on the floor of the United States Congress for their work recently. So congratulations, ladies, for being our inaugural COVID warriors. As I close here, you won't all remember the words I've said today. In a week, you may not remember them tomorrow or even before you get in the car. But I hope that our awardees and their actions and how they've lived their lives and performed in their jobs have inspired you. A few last calls to action. I would encourage everyone here and listening and watching to endeavor to trouble yourself to move outside of your comfort zone, to learn how your gifts, time, and talent, even your influence, can make a difference in your community or amongst your constituents or whoever you impact the most, and boldly accept feedback and criticism. Let's extend some grace to one another to be able to have some clumsy conversations about race, racism, about bias, about equity and justice, and even politics, even politics. Be like Leah and resolve to leave a legacy for your mentees, your descendants, community members, or stakeholders to come after you. Be like Lieutenant Thomas and answer that call for duty and honor for your community. Be like Gene Haynes and determined to hone your superpower. Be like Holly and Patricia and turn a moment into a positive movement. And don't be like Keith Station and begin your keynote speech with a joke that you didn't rehearse before you used it. I'm gonna do better next time, Doc. I know I'm going long. I'm wrapping up, Dr. Thompson. Here we go. My last word to the awardees: you have made your families proud. You've made me proud. You have made your colleagues proud, and you have made your ancestors proud. So, in the obligatory way that when you hear a Dr. Martin Luther King tribute or speech, there has to be a reference to I have a dream. So I have a dream. Keith has a dream. I have a dream that in 2031 and in 2041, I have a dream that in 2026, in 5 years, that MLK celebrations have a different feel for the occasion. That it's not the same thing, not the same reasons that we march and protest and speak against civil injustice. That we'll be able to say we have worked together, we've measured our success, had uncomfortable conversations, and fought for equity. That's what the legacy of Dr. King should be about in 2021 and beyond. So in 2031, 2041, MLK celebrations should look much different. Today's theme is to aspire to inspire, and to the awardees, you've done that. And so on behalf of Mayor Stothert and on behalf of the city, congratulations and thank you.
And we want to thank you again, Mr. Station, for not only doing the speech, the main speech for us, but also for being a candidate for being a change agent. We have a lot of people out there in the society that's all about me, myself, and I, and public service is a grueling business, and we appreciate that you have thrown your hat into the ring, that you want to be a difference maker. It always brings a smile to my face when I see young people, especially young black males, step up and say, I will make a difference. At this next point, we start our awardees, and typically we have county officials that you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing Karen Book. You're used to seeing her assistant, Tim McNally. You're used to seeing Patrick Bloomingdale, but because of some COVID issues, we've had a difficult time putting together our program. But I can always count on a person that always comes through, and that's Commissioner Chris Rogers. And Chris, I think, probably knows our winner probably better than even the people that I had mentioned prior to him coming up. So let's give a hand welcome for Mr. Chris Rogers.
I do need the 6'9" then. So, good morning, everybody. Let me first say congratulations to all the awardees, but particularly I'm glad to have the honor to introduce our own Miss Leah Baez. Leah has the distinct honor of being Douglas County's first public information officer. I can remember probably about 5 or 6 years ago when we were looking for someone for this position. We didn't know that in addition to the mediocre task, that they'd be put in charge of one of the most once-in-a-lifetime events that would ever come our way. In addition to her already existing roles in communication and coordination in Douglas County, she's been the lead for us in regards to disseminating information in partnership with the health department in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic. She's been a critical member of our COVID-19 Unified Command Task Force. That's been the coordination element to communicate to the community and plan for responses to COVID-19. And she's also been responsible for helping to be a key liaison in the Latino community, where there's been transitioning publications, setting up forums, or trying to be a key conduit for rental assistance and other programs. In addition to what she does for us here in Douglas County, she's a participant in the Grassroots Leadership Program, where she was a participant herself, but also volunteers her time for those youth to make sure that young Latinas and young Latinos are in position to succeed in the world of government, if that's what they choose to desire. But in other things, she's also dipping her toe into, for the last years or so, being a motivational speaker. If you're a friend with her on Facebook or on LinkedIn, you see occasionally editorials that she's done and other assignments that she's done to try to lift up our community. I can say personally, on another note, she's that quiet voice in my ear as our communications response person when there's things I want to say to people that I know I shouldn't say. And she tells me, you can't say that. So with that, I want to bring up and recognize from the county our Martin Luther King honoree for 2021, Ms. Leah Baez.
Come on, Chris. A little tall. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Commissioner Rogers. And like Keith mentioned, I know the caliber of this award, and I know many of the past and present recipients. So the excellence that goes along with this award, I don't take lightly. I know the work that the recipients are putting into the community, and I'm really honored and humbled and extremely grateful to be here today with all of you. I just want to kind of start with a little story. I was just a young girl, probably about maybe 5 years old. Or no, excuse me. Yeah, about 5 years old, when I remember first hearing about the name Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But it wasn't until I got into elementary school that I actually learned more about the life of Dr. King. But sadly, I was even younger when I experienced racism for the very first time. I was about 5 years old, and I was on a family trip, on a road trip in the Midwest, headed down south with my family, who are all here today, even amidst a blizzard, so I love them, thank you. But we were headed to this small diner to get a quick bite to eat. We were hungry, we had been traveling, so we pull in, only to find out we were quickly turned away. It didn't take my father long to look around and realize why. We were the only people of color. The manager had said the restaurant was closed, even though the dining room was full of people. So of course my father was appalled, and he would not give his hard-earned money to a business that was discriminating against us simply because we were Mexican. So we left. But I asked my parents a lot of questions that day after that trip. And that incident sparked so many more conversations about race and equality and justice and injustice. But from that day on, it was so clear to me that standing up for what you believe in and doing what's right were a part of my family's core values. And the life lessons continued to come. In fact, it was just a few years later, after that restaurant incident, sometime in the early 90s, when I got to see my father in action, giving a voice to others. He was the president of a local printers union, and he had organized a protest to fight for workers' rights that day. I was out of school, so I got to go along for the adventure. So here I am, 7 years old, marching along the picket line with a sign and chanting. I had no idea what I was doing or why I was doing it. The significance of that event, I had no idea what that meant. But later what I realized is that I was standing up for something my father believed in. similarly to what Dr. King has done for so many people and the same legacy that he's left for all of us. All of these life lessons have taught me so much about myself and standing up for what we believe in and doing what's right. And I have to thank my parents for all of those lessons. And so I'm dedicating this award to them. They've taught me the power of volunteering and the benefits of giving back to the community. They've helped me to understand that it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or the color of your skin, that anyone and everyone can accomplish their dreams. I love getting to pass along these same life lessons that I've learned from my family to the young people that I work with in our community. Whether it's my mentee or a group of Latino students, I get fired up knowing that my story can give others hope. It's so fulfilling to know that the countless hours of volunteering actually make a difference. I'm a public servant, a mentor, a board member, a role model, but most importantly, I'm a mother. And while sitting on boards, volunteering, and working in the community takes a lot of time and effort, I feel so blessed knowing that my daughter gets to see me in action just like I watched my father. She also knows the significance of Dr. King's life and legacy and how that's made an impact in our own lives. She knows we work hard, we give back to the community, and we amplify our voices because helping others is a part of who we are. And that makes it all worth it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leah. All right. This award that I'm about to give could not go to a more deserving person. The person receiving this award is one of the most dedicated and intelligent people I know. And the proof is in the pudding because she has received more nominations year after year than any other person that I have seen in my years with the department. Well, this year is her year. She is an Omaha native and a graduate of Omaha Northwest High School. I will not hold that against you. Lieutenant Sheree Thomas is a 22-year veteran of the Omaha Police Department. And during her 22 years, she has worked in uniform patrol. She was sergeant over the training academy, front desk unit, domestic violence unit, internal affairs, before moving over to lieutenant over the internal affairs. Currently, she is serving as the public information office in the public information office under Chief Todd Schmaderer. She is a graduate of Leadership Omaha, class of 41. She is the president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives of Nebraska and an active member of the Distinguished Ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She serves on several boards in the Omaha community, and honestly, if I read all of her accomplishments, we'd be here till President's Day. And by her list of accomplishments, that doesn't seem too far out of her reach either. So I will get right to the reason why she was selected. Sheree prides herself on being present in the community she serves. And like Dr. Martin Luther King, Sheree does not just advocate for one part of town or one demographic of people. She has given several speeches on the importance of unity, kindness, and building bridges, not barriers. So needless to say, she does not put her 8 hours in with the OPD and go home to her awesome and intelligent husband and 3 adorable daughters. She drags them along with her. And Sheree is the model of what a leader and just an overall great human being is. And her daughters are lucky to get to witness their mother and all of her Black girl magic. So as she stands for justice and equality, most notably, Sheree has marched for peace and was the keynote speaker to thousands of people after the civil unrest and protests here in Omaha last summer. Not only does she serve in the community as a leader on several boards and committees, but she is also a mentor to several youth and younger female police officers within OPD. The city of Omaha is truly lucky to have this woman living here because she is a change agent and committed to making the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. come true. So please come forward, Lieutenant Sheree Thomas, and receive this distinguished award.
I was gonna say I'm not 6'9" either, so I'm gonna move this down. My husband, he's 6'5", I think. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this award. I am humbled and I am honored. I would especially like to thank everyone that nominated me, whomever that may have been, and I know you stated that I've been nominated prior years too, so thank you all for thinking that much of me. Today is a special day. It would have been Dr. King's 92nd birthday, but as stated before by Mr. Station, it is also Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated's Founders Day, to which I am a proud member of. Just like Coretta Scott King, my sorority sisters and I are celebrating 113 years of service to all mankind. To my sorority sisters watching virtually, pinkies up. Last year, we were faced with many challenges. First, it was the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. Then it was the killing of George Floyd by a police officer. The killing of Mr. Floyd led to protests across the country, and as you all know, we had some here locally. At the height of the protest, I was asked by a community member to participate in the peace walk from 72nd and Dodge to Memorial Park and to be one of the 3 speakers. I was humbled by the invitation. Anytime I'm asked to speak, I have to be true to myself as a Black woman, as a wife to Barry, as a mother to my 3 beautiful daughters, Bria, Sierra, and Trinity. Trinity had to work, y'all. She's not here. She's an adult now. So, when you're grown, you have to go to work. As a law enforcement professional and the many other hats I wear, I understand the concerns and the frustrations, but I also understand that we, the police and the community, have to come together. We have to work together, and we have to find the solutions to the problems, and by having open and honest dialogue. Dr. King said, and I believe it's on the program, our lives end when we become silent about the things that matter. So what is it that matters to you? My family, my friends, my sorority sisters, my church, and my community are at the top of the things that matter to me. Is there something that you no longer need to be silent about? Are there injustices that you are aware of but have not spoken about? Recognize when things are wrong and stand up for what is right. There may be times when you have to be the voice for the voiceless. As I continue my career in law enforcement, I will continue to be a leader that leads by example. I am committed to be the change I wish to see in my community and to be the conscience of law enforcement by being committed to justice by action as the mission of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executive States. Dr. King was assassinated over 50 years ago. I'm not sure at the time that he was killed that he would know the impact that he would have for the generations to come. He stood up and spoke out against injustice, and I am grateful for his leadership he showed throughout the 39 years God allowed him to be on this earth. Dr. King is a prime example of having a lasting legacy. May we all live our life in a way that we leave a lasting legacy for the generations that come behind us. You may never know what impact you have or how you inspire others to aspire for more. So what will your legacy be? Thank you all again for this prestigious award. And thank you to my family for always supporting me. My mother couldn't be here, of course, but I'm thankful and grateful for the way that my parents raised me. Thank you.
At this time, we will do our community awards. I'd like to first start off with a new award that we're going to give this year. And hopefully it's not an annual thing that we'll do, but it's called the COVID-19 Warrior Award. And as you can tell by the title, it's the people who we want to recognize for the work that they did to get out there to make us safe and to fight this pandemic that we have. Today, we're honoring two of our citizens, and those being Holly Barstow and Patricia Longancher. I'd like to give you a little, just a little introduction of them before I bring them up. Okay, you guys, I'm one of these people where I've got the glasses, and I need the glasses for the far, but for the near, I have to take them off. Patricia was raised in California and moved to Nebraska in 1979 to attend Creighton. After attending Creighton, she decided to live here permanently, make this her home, and she's also now in the medical field with the Creighton Institution, the great CHI institution that adorns our city. Holly is a native of Maryville, Missouri, and she saw the light of becoming an Omaha in 1982. She's a financial advisor. She's been that since 1984, and is president of her own company, her own firm by the name of Barstow and Company, and that was established in 2002. There are offices both here and in Omaha. Together, they formed what we call Nebraska Mask for Medicine. Nebraska Mask for Medicine was born out of worry and a desire to make a difference. Holly and Patricia, which I will refer to as Trish, they realized early that there would not be enough N95 masks to help keep our healthcare heroes safe, and that any effort to extend their usage would be very helpful. Trish and Holly researched all the alternatives, looked at the various fabrics and different ways to extend medical masks. And so they met in mid-March of 2020 with Methodist Health Systems. They explained what they wanted to do and how they felt, and what they wanted to design, and presented several options. Methodist immediately asked for 1,000 mask covers, but by the very next morning, the 1,000 went to 10,000. Trish and Holly, and along with Trish's husband, Bruce, spent the weekend building an organization and a framework for volunteers, sourcing fabric, thread, and elastic, and dividing work among the three of them. The Omaha World Herald then ran an article requesting volunteers to help out with the effort. Nebraska Furniture Mart also became helpful in the effort, but they had to shut down their sign-up portal when more than 800 people signed up in less than 3 hours. Over the next 5 months, more than 2,000 people joined the Facebook page, and many of them became dedicated volunteers. Trish and Holly became experts at procurement, kit making, problem solving, team building, and meeting impossible deadlines. They ultimately made more than 145 masks and or mask, 145,000 mask and or mask covers, 3,600 surgical caps, 200 surgical gowns, and 500 face shields. Holly helped set up a community mask program in 12 states and 3 countries. Trish worked with all the major hospital groups to design and adopt a universal mask design for their various requests. They built an incredible team of people that helped save many, many, many lives. By August of 2020, the commercial mask and different organizations and factories were starting to ramp up, and so they decided that it was okay to retire their group, and they did so with a lot of pride. A quote from the two: "We look forward to a COVID-free celebration in 2021, where we can properly thank the incredible people of Nebraska Mass for Medicine and all the volunteers that help them." I like to say that this is the type of thing that Martin Luther King believed in. Martin Luther King is represented sometimes inappropriately by just being the race guy, but he also was very big on service to the community. And this is a great example of civil rights in a different kind of a way. This is the civil rights of human beings, not so much of one particular ethnic group, but of all groups. And fighting this invisible enemy that we have has been a toxic thing this year. And so we're happy when people step up when they don't have to, and do that extra step, take that extra step to try to make the community a better and a safer place. And this is what we feel that Holly and Trish have done. And never once did they ask for the media to blow it up or, make them stars or anything like that. They just did it on their own. And then other people who were impressed by their efforts said, well, let's go ahead and tell their story on their behalf. So this year we would like to honor the inaugural and maybe only COVID-19 Warrior Award to Holly and Trish, Holly Barstow and Trish Longancher. Would you please come up? Now, I will have both of you have comments. And by the way, everybody, we have to take pictures afterwards. So don't leave as soon as we're done, because we have to get our pictures.
I am the Holly of Holly and Trish as our volunteers. I don't even know that they could pick us out of a crowd, but they certainly could together. So Trish and I we are dear friends, and we live next to each other. And by the way, it was my husband, Bruce, not Tim, who is back there and was helpful too. But we are very honored to be given this award. We are humbled for sure, because it was I just couldn't stand it, and neither could Trish. And we just said, there has to be something we could do. So I think Margaret Mead said the great quote about, don't ever think that one person can not make a change in the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever can is one person. And if you think that your crazy idea to make things better can't work, you're wrong. You're just wrong. You just need to keep bugging people until it does. And Trish and I put in, I would love to know how many hours. I don't know. We didn't sleep. Trish's house looked like a factory. For most of the supplies were at her place. We also had a quilt shop that helped us. But it was the most, when people say, well, I learned how to bake sourdough bread or whatever during COVID, I think, well, I learned how to run a volunteer sweatshop of 800 sewers. And so did Trish. But I will never, ever forget the time that Trish and I felt like we could make a difference, and by golly, we did. But I absolutely could not have done it without the woman who just worked a million hours and was always inspiring. And I want to thank Trish, in addition to my family and every one of our volunteers who were amazing.
I always love when Holly has the microphone, because this is the part I don't enjoy. But I do want to say one thing. Being here today for the Martin Luther King Award, to be included in that, is so moving. And I found myself under my mask smiling so much with pride, and then almost tears that my face started hurting. But I feel to be here. Our effort was small and short and an honor to be part of, but to feel like we're recognized today is something I think for the rest of my life I'll be so proud of. And Holly said so many wonderful things about our group. We were small, the two of us, but the amount of people that we did not know, the volunteers that came forward that helped make this happen, was across the city, across demographics, and you know, it was such an honor. And I feel so proud of our community, so proud of being part of this today and being recognized. That it's probably one of the crowning moments of my life, I feel today. Couldn't have done it without Holly, couldn't have done it without Bruce, the support of Tim, my husband, and all the people that helped us. So thank you guys so much for honoring us today for this, because this is a small part for us, but big moment for us.
And
so
honored to be
honored,
company of
honored.
people who are being
Yeah.
honored today.
Yeah, today. So thank you.
We have one more award. Today we are here to honor the local legendary Mr. Gene Haynes, son of a sharecropper, a man who only had a sixth grade education. And by the way, I didn't take my glasses off this time because the words are big. Mr. Haynes graduated from Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, 1967. My folks were from Yazoo City. He moved to Omaha right out of college and began his career as a history and social studies teacher at the greatest school Omaha ever known, which was Omaha Tech High School. Tech High Trojans, yeah. All right, and he started OPS with Tech High School in 1967. Gene Haynes became the first African-American head basketball coach, and he served 13 years in that role. Altogether, 53 years as an educator. Married to his wife, Annie, and proud father and grandfather. After Tech High closed down in 1984, he moved over to McMillan Middle School, where he served as an assistant principal and an athletic director. He also helped the legendary Oldra Bradley establish a viable alternative education program at the individual study centers within OPS for a couple of years. Then in 1987, he became an assistant principal at North High School. And in 2001, he became the principal of North and stayed in that position until his retirement last spring of 2020. Former superintendent Mark Evans once said that he considered himself a pretty good principal until he met Gene Haynes. And his quote was, I knew every young person by name, and I had 1,600 students. However, not only did Gene Haynes know their names, he knew their aunt, their uncle, their grandmama, mailman, dog catcher, everybody. He knew the names of everybody and their families, and he taught 3 to sometimes 4 generations of people. A former student of his, Cliff Brunt, who is now an associate, he's a sports writer for the Associated Press in Oklahoma. Cliff said Mr. Haynes was both 2 things at one time. He was the biggest and the strongest, toughest guy in the building, but he was also the biggest teddy bear in the building all at the same time. former police chief Tommy Warren, who was one of his basketball players, had this to say about him. Gene Haynes was known as a strict disciplinarian, but he was more about character development and having his players reach their full potential. Gene had the unique ability to get to know the students on a personal basis. You knew you were interacting with someone who really cared about you and cared about your future. The World Herald also once quoted that Gene Haynes was known for driving students in his personal vehicle to college recruiting trips because those students didn't have a way there. So he would put the students in his car and drive them there. He was also known for meeting parents in the evening or on Saturdays because they had jobs that would not let them take time off, and he didn't want to burden them with extra having to lose out on work pay. So he would meet them in late evenings and Saturdays just so that because he was a servant of the people. Then there's my stories of Gene Haynes. Gene Haynes came to Tech High during a very volatile time in Omaha. The Omaha Tech High story is a story that is Omaha's best kept secret. And you see those movies like Cooley High and Lean On Me and like that. Well, we had that, and that was right here in this city. And it was a school that went from a mixed school to an almost all-black school in a mere 2 to 3 years as a result of the Vivian Strong shooting that happened in North Omaha. So the students were a mixture. So you had academician students, and you had knucklehead students, and you had gang members. It was all together in one melting pot. And I was supposed to be one of the good students, but I was running with the wrong crowd. Gene, you may not remember this, but we were skipping class one day, and they saw Gene. Gene was on hall duty, and they saw him show up, and they scattered like roaches. But I was too dumb. I didn't run. So he saw me, and he went like this, and he went like this. So I came up to him, and he says, "Son, aren't you supposed to be one of our academic leaders?" And I said, yes. I'm chattering. My teeth are chattering as I'm saying that. And he says, "Well, I want to give you 2 motivations." Now, back in these days, in the late 60s and early 70s, they didn't have Dr. Spock and Time Out and that kind of stuff. And in fact, Tech High students could easily call the parents, and the parents would say, "Whoop him." Okay. And the teachers had liberties, okay? And so he wanted to give me one motivation, and traditional and a non-traditional. So the non-traditional one, he put me in some kind of a hold, and I'm not quite sure what it was like. But he said, "Now I'll let you go when you tell me that it hurts good." And I'm going, "What?" So I'm going, "It hurts bad. That's not what I want to hear." So I said, "Oh, it hurts so good." So then he says, "That's what I wanted to hear." Then the second motivation is he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Now, son, you're headed down the wrong road and you're running with the wrong crowd. And I want you to know that we see you as one of the leaders, but you can't do that if you don't live up to your potential. And running around skipping classes and doing all that, that's not you. That's not you. Don't worry about trying to be a person that, is trying to be popular or trying to, kiss up to the popular norms of the day. You got to be you, and you got to go for your education." And then he says, you got to promise me you're not going to skip anymore. Now, that was my sophomore year, and Gene, I never skipped class again. And not even when senior skip day came, 2 years later, I didn't skip then. So Gene Haynes took a bunch of us who were throwaways at that time. Tech was highly, highly ignored, and we were the throwaway school of the district. If you didn't make it anywhere else, you come to Tech. And we were the only school. All of the district special ed was dumped into our building. And different things. We could go on and on about that story. But Gene Haynes was one of those that said, well, you know, I want to be here with the kids that are the throwaway kids. And then I'm going to help them be what their potential is. I'm going to help them to see their potential. And I remember your two motivators worked, the talk and the creative manipulation. In 2012, he was awarded the Congressional Award for being an influential African American in Nebraska history. 2014, a portion of the North 34th Street near North High became Gene Haynes Street. 2015, Gene Haynes was awarded the Nebraska Statehood Day Award from the Governor's Office. 2017, he received the Educational Legacy Award for his work promoting STEM education for young people. And in 2017, he received the Otto Swanson Spirit of Service Award. Today, Gene Haynes receives the Distinguished Martin Luther King Jr. Living the Dream Award presented by the City of Omaha for his service to the community, but more in particular for his unwavering educational and mentoring of our young people. Somebody that had a big impact on what I've become. I'd like for everybody to welcome and honor Mr. Gene Haynes.
Thank you. I don't think I need the microphone because I still have my cafeteria voice. I'd like to say to Dr. Thompson and his committee and the other honorees that's being honored here today, I feel privileged to be standing in this platform with you all as you have demonstrated excellence in the area that you've chosen. And we are very, very proud of you, and keep up the good work. And to the committee, I would say thank you. I want to find out, how did you get all this information? Okay. I say you did your research, and so I'm going to censor some of this stuff. You're not on Twitter, are you? Okay. If you are, I'm going to take you off. But this award is among many others that I have received, and I'm so proud of it. Of the fact is that I wanted to make a difference in the lives of so many young people as I started this journey. Mr. Thompson just mentioned a little bit about it. My mother had an 8th grade education, and my father had a 6th grade education. And I had 3 other brothers, and they wanted to make sure that we did not have to follow the same path that they followed. And they wanted to make us accountable and have a successful life. And I just wanted to share that with the young people that I had the opportunity. 53 years, and I did not have a bad day in either one of those 53 years. And I enjoyed what I do and what I did, and I want to continue to do that to make a difference in the lives of the young people in the city of Omaha. And that's because I care. And this award, the legendary Martin Luther King Jr. I never did get a chance to meet him, but I followed his work and what he said and what he did. And it really stuck with me, you know, during the time. I would like to say a quote about him, and it resonates with me today. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at time of challenges and controversies. That's something that resonates with me on a daily basis, is to give me my energy that I need in order to get to the next level. I love Omaha. I love this Omaha community, and it just like American Express, you can't leave home without it. Let me say something about my family, my immediate family. I have a beautiful wife. At Russ College, I received two great things. Number one was an education. Number two, my wife. I met my wife there, and so we got married, and just past December 21st, we celebrated 52 years. 52 years, and she is my rock, and we love each other. And Mr. Thompson did say, Dr. Thompson did say, we have one son as a product of the only school in town, North High School, and we're very, very proud of him. And his wife is a North High grad, and he has two sons. There's a Caleb and Jacob. There's a 13-year-old, and then there's a 7-year-old. And when I said I was going to retire, I said I would, before the COVID came around, I said I would go to California, spend 2 days with them, spoil them, and leave them. So thank you, and congratulations to all the other honorees that was honored here today. Brother Thompson, thank you, and we appreciate all you and your staff do, okay? Thanks.
Certain individuals have things that they say and they're remembered by. And for example, we all know that Samuel Jackson, the actor, has a certain word that he does and he's remembered by. We can't say that word today. But Gene Haynes is known for a word in Omaha, a phrase. And what's that phrase? Brother man. And sister girl. We want to thank all of our honorees. Chris, did you have anything that you want to say? Gerald, do you have anything? In conclusion, thank you for being here today, weathering the elements. And we want to thank you to our technology people who made it available for streaming. Thanks to Kat, my right and left hand, depending on which day it is. And she's worked out all the stuff that I'm not smart enough to work out. And we want to thank the county for their part in this. We can't pull this off alone. We have to rely on the county, especially when it comes to things such as this place that we're in, and also the technology and the hookup and the Zoom and the websites and all of those kinds of things. We want to give special thanks to the mayor of Omaha, who this is one of the main things that she wants done every year. When she hired me, she told me, do it and make sure you do it right. And thank you for being who you are. You give me inspiration to not retire and to stay in a little longer and work a little harder. And because believe me, it'd be easy to retire. But when I hear the stories that I hear today, and I see the people, and I meet and I see these stories and I see the energy, it makes me want to stay in the game a little longer and work. And we want to also thank you to our young set of people who are coming up, who are going to take the baton from us who need to retire. And we're encouraging them to keep on the path and to keep developing. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you. Have a great Martin Luther King Day. Also, on Monday at 5:30, if you have Cox Cable, please zero in on our high school competition. The high schools in the area, they're going to get together, some of the students, and they're going to come together and they're going to have prose, poetry, dance, vocal music, and instrumental music. I'll be streaming live from the Holland, but they pre-taped all of their stuff. And so we're going to be looking at the 3rd annual Martin Luther King Living the Dream competition for high school students. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you. I do need to take pictures, so if all the winners could come back up, and we'll take pictures.